First, let's pay homage to the Venerable Mang Liao Ming, to Master Sakya Dzogchen, to the 16th Dharma King Karmapa, and Master Thupten Dorje. Homage to the three jewels of the altar. Homage to the main deity of the Homa today, Maitreya Bodhisattva. So, all Dharma masters, Dharma educators, Dharma teachers, Dharma lecturers, Dharma assistants, temple directors, all disciples present here and over the internet, and our guest of honor today, the wife of the Secretary General Liao of the Coordination Council of North American of Taiwan, Dharma Sister Judy. Accountant to the True Buddha Foundation, Dharma Sister Teresa. Attorneys to the True Buddha Foundation, Mr. Lo and Ms. Huang. The PR Director of the Taiwan Lizang Temple, Mr. Fermi Wang. From the Lotus Light Charitable Society of Taiwan, the President Wu, and the Secretary Tian, Mr. Tian Yu. And from the CTI TV Taiwan, producer for the Illuminating Your Heart, Dharma Sister Rebecca Su, and Dr. Zhuang, and Dr. Zhou. And the wife of the head of the Taiwanese Overseas Credit Warranty Fund, Ms. Vivian Sid. Good afternoon. How do you do? How are you? How do you do? Taiwanese and Cantonese. First, I would like to briefly talk about the main deity for Homa next week, and that's Yellow Jambala. It's the deity that everyone likes. And in the past, I had mentioned that on earth the wealthiest is the mountain god, and in the ocean the wealthiest one is the dragon god, and in the heavenly realms the richest, the wealthiest is the four heavenly kings, and an emanation of the four heavenly kings are all the wealth deities. So next Sunday we would have Yellow Jambala. If you don't need money, then you don't need to be a primary supplicant. If you don't want money, you don't need to be the primary supplicant. Otherwise, the wealth deities are running all over for nothing. That's the end of my introduction. So today we had the Homa of Maitreya Bodhisattva, and the mudra is the inner turning of the Dharma wheel and the outer turning of the Dharma wheel. Inner turning of the Dharma wheel, outer turning of the Dharma wheel. These are the two mudras. So the mudra for turning the Dharma wheel. And why? Because in the future, there would be the dragon flower 3 meetings. So there are 3 meetings, the first, second, and third meetings, and would salvage all sentient beings. With one statement, Namo Buddhaya, he would be able to deliver all of you. And the deliverance of Maitreya Bodhisattva is very special. He used the transcendental transformation of the consciousness. According to the sutras, Maitreya Bodhisattva now is residing at the inner quarter of the Tushita heaven, and the outer quarter is resided by the heavenly beings, and the inner quarter is the Maitreya Bodhisattva. And the look of Maitreya Bodhisattva in China is the 3 rounds, as I said, like Master Zheng Sanyan, a round head, a round chest, and a round abdomen or tummy. That's the cloth back monk of China. And in Tibet, the Maitreya look different. He has the look of a bodhisattva, and forming the Dharma turning wheel, the turning of the wheel of the Dharma mudra, and he has the look of a lady. That's the mantra, Om Maitreya Soha. And his look here is the look from Tibet, and this deity here is the Chinese version, and below is the Tibetan version. He has 2 looks. So Maitreya Bodhisattva has an emanation in China, which is the monk with the cloth back, and he has this look. So there are the 3 meetings, the dragonflower Longhua. And we regard these meetings as the great deliverance of sentient beings. So in the sutras, Maitreya Bodhisattva descending into the world, Maitreya Bodhisattva becoming a Buddha, Maitreya Bodhisattva delivering sentient beings, and Maitreya Bodhisattva's rising to Tushita heaven. And there are many sutras that mention about these 3 meetings, the dragon flowers 3 meetings. So many monks and nuns vowed to follow Maitreya Bodhisattva, descend or ascend, and in the future they could attain Buddhahood. So Maitreya Bodhisattva was predicted or imprinted by Sakyamuni Buddha that in the dragonflower 3 meetings he would directly attain Buddhahood. In the sutras of the Tibetan Tantrayana, there are the 5 sutras of Maitreya. So there's this discourse of the Ayatavara and in Buddhism there are only 2 schools. One is Madhyamaka and the other one is consciousness only, or Yogacara. So Maitreya's consciousness only transcendental power is through Asanga Bodhisattva and Vasubandhu Bodhisattva, transmitted to them and then all the way down. And the Xuanzang monk from the Tang dynasty, what he learned when he went to India was this consciousness only school. There are two schools. So the Madhyamaka belongs to Nagarjuna. Is the expansive action, and so broad is Madhyamaka, and consciousness only is deep. So one is broad, the other one is deep. So there are differences, and the broad school belongs to the Madhyamaka, and the deep school belongs to the consciousness only school. And Tantrayana should belong to both Madhyamaka and Yogacara. Although Tibetan Tantrayana claims that they are Madhyamaka, they belong to the Madhyamaka school, mostly Madhyamaka, but in reality, toward the end, when you are seeing or proving your Buddha nature, actually they are also related to the consciousness only school. So there is a Tathagata inside Tathagata, and this should belong to the consciousness only school. So in the Buddhist world these days, the Madhyamaka defame the Yogacara school and vice versa, because they have two concepts or points of views. Actually, you can combine both and attain Buddhahood. So in my personal opinion, there is no contradiction between these two schools. So you cannot use each concept to defame the other. So today we talk about Maitreya Bodhisattva. So the Dragonflower 3 meetings are very special, and how he would deliver sentient beings. He used the light of the Buddha nature emitted toward all the beings who attend this Dragonflower 3 meetings, and their karma would be completely purified and eradicated. And the Buddha nature would all appear directly and would attain Buddhahood, go to Maitreya's Buddha land. With one statement, Namo Buddhaya. You don't have to cultivate spiritually with hardship like now. So if you're willing to wait for eons of kalpas, eons of years, because Maitreya Bodhisattva, it will take that long before Maitreya Bodhisattva descend, or maybe sooner, or maybe very fast. You never know. We don't know when the counting started. From the formation of the universe, the formation of the Saha world, there's been eons of kalpas until now. So maybe in a few moments, maybe it wouldn't take very long. So the primary supplicants today have great affinity with the Dragonflower 3 meetings of Maitreya. When Maitreya descends, if you're still in the Saha world, then you would be able to meet him, and you would be able to attain, guaranteed to attain Buddhahood. And you don't have to train, to practice. And then with the transcendental transformation of the consciousness, you would be able to attain Buddhahood directly. And if you have Maitreya Bodhisattva as your yidam, you would be able to go to the Buddha land of Maitreya Bodhisattva. And then when Maitreya Bodhisattva descends upon the Saha world, you can follow him to help him deliver sentient beings. That's the end of my introduction of Maitreya Bodhisattva. And I have provided the introduction of Yellow Jambala too. And someone shot an arrow that I would read to all of you, and this is a question of cheche, or cutting through. The title is Shooting an Arrow. Grandmaster, how are you? First, I would like to offer my gratitude to Grandmaster to deliver sentient beings day and night, continuously. And inspired by your compassion and equanimity, I pray for your continual health, great health, longevity, and turning of the Dharma wheel. So I sum my courage to shoot this arrow and pray for the elimination of karma. And with a note, A asks how to cut off afflictions. B, follow Grandmaster's teachings to cultivate spiritually, then you can cut off affliction. So this is from the listening, looking, and practicing. And Grandmaster didn't say anything. And from the Diamond Sutra, everything, all with phenomena, are like bubbles, electricities, like image in the mirrors. So if you don't think of anything, then you don't think anything. Then where would be the afflictions? So the explanation is, based on what Grandmaster said, that Grandmaster did not give any Dharma teaching, there's nothing to see, nothing to hear. And if nothing arises in the mind, then where would be the afflictions? So, explaining about all this nothingness or nihilism, you fall into extreme nihilism. So, the name is the Great Four, which is that's no appearance of self, of people, of Dharma, or of longevity. So when there's no difference between life and death, then there's no time. So there would be no afflictions. Whatever you said are right, because they all came from the sutras. So about listening, pondering, and practicing, that's in the sutra. That everything is like a bubble, an electricity, a smoke, that's also in the Diamond Sutra. There's no form of self, of people, of longevity, of time and space, that's also in the Diamond Sutra. That life and death are non-dual, that's also in the sutra. And in the 6 steps, there also the no stopping and no rising. And according to the Zen, so pointing directly to the Buddha nature, there's no need to train or to practice. They're also in the Zen sutras. So they're all right because they're from the sutras. But the question is, you pointed out these things from the sutras, but the question is, after reading all the sutras, and the writings are here, but how do you cut directly your afflictions? And the sutras have mentioned them very clearly. Non-dwelling, no affliction, But why can you be in a state of non-dwelling? How? Why? If you can answer this question, why you can be non-dwelling, no affliction? Have you reached the realm of non-dwelling? Have you got no afflictions at all? Now the question is how or why you can be non-dwelling. So these answers are good, but you have to state why you can be non-dwelling. And you say the 4 elements are gone, and that's correct. The earth, water, fire, and wind, those are phenomena. And then you become non-dwelling. But what state is that? What is it that makes you non-dwelling? So I am inviting the person who is shooting to continue to shoot the arrow, so that in my Dharma teaching I would have topics to talk about. He must say that Grandmaster is just reasoning with him. But there is no reasonings to talk about. That's not what I'm doing either. So today we will continue toggle that Grandmaster talked about last night. So by seeing the light and you increase your sensations. And what are your sensations? What are sensations? This is what I would like to explain. Someone asked yesterday, Grandmaster said increasing your sensations, and what are they? So today I would like to explain it. But first let me share a joke. In your eyes I saw the self-confidence, and on your eyebrows I saw your pain, and on your brow I see the time, and in your teeth I saw a leaf of vegetable. Please brush your teeth. So these are sensations. So when we are old, in between your brows I saw your injuries, and in your eyes I saw your self-confidence. On your brow, the wrinkles, I saw the time, and in between your teeth and lips I saw food debris, and asking you to brush your teeth. So this kind of seeing is called sensations. For the elderly, sometimes, like when I walk, Master Lien Yin would tell me, give me a handkerchief. Actually, it's a tissue. What? What for? That at the corner of Grandmaster's eyes, there's white stuff. Please wipe it off. So I said, thank you. And then I wipe it off. And that day, and underneath Grandmaster's nose, there's some black stuff. And somebody gave me a tissue and said, you know, there's at the nostril there, please wipe it off. And when I eat, There's a grain of rice or food debris right there, and someone hinted. So what are these? That's sensations. Or you see, perception, your perception. You say, oh, that's not so good, something's there, please wipe it off. So the sensations of toggle, when you are enlightened, you are truly enlightened, you would feel great joy that eventually I'm enlightened. And this enlightenment has been proved, confirmed by Grandmaster. After the confirmation that you are truly enlightened, that your heart would be filled with joy. And the joy is that, oh, I am finally become enlightened. So this is the ground, the first ground of the Bodhisattvahood, which is the ground of the ultimate joy. So the sensation is that you have gained the experience that, oh, the Buddha nature is like this, and you became very joyous. So the first ground of the 10 Bodhisattvahood. So this joy that you're enlightened, this is also a sensation. And after enlightenment, you need to put it into practice. You need to eradicate all the karma of your body, like what I mentioned during Homa, that I wish that Maitreya Bodhisattva would bless all of us to eradicate all of our black karma. That's eradication of the karma. Praying to the gurus to eradicate all the black karma, all karma. The feeling that your karma is eradicated, that your body is pure and clean and light, that the karma has been eradicated. This is the second ground of Bodhisattvahood, which is the ground of abandoning the contaminants. That's the second ground of Bodhisattvahood, that all your karma has been eradicated and you feel very easy and that you're very radiant. There's this joke. I always wanted to tell you this. Then today I saw my courage. First is I love you. Oh, I love you. And second, please don't think that the first statement is true. What Grandmaster says are always true, but what other people say may not necessarily be true. But Grandmaster always say the true words, that Padma Kumara is completely true. What Grandmaster says are always true. I love you, I like you. And the second statement is also I love you, I like you. And the third statement is also I love you, I like you. These are authentic, genuine. Some people, when they say that, they may not mean it. I love you, but what they're thinking is I love your money. I like you. And I like you to die soon. That's not good. They don't say the second part. They only say, I love you, I like you. Actually, I love your money. I like you. I like you, quickly die. They just don't say the second part. But we say the truthfully. We talk. So when you reach the second ground, the ground of no contaminants, you are completely purified. And the third ground is the ground of illumination. After you purify all your karma, your pure light would be emitted. That's the third ground of bodhisattvahood. So, does your body have light? You would know yourself. Like the beta or gamma rays or X-rays, they all have lights, and that's a very strong rays. Like when you have X-ray in a room and then close your chest and then taking X-ray of your teeth, and they push a button outside with the ting, and the X-rays had been emitted into, and the teeth. Dr. Zhuang is a dentist. He knows. They try to protect the heart and cover the chest, because otherwise one would die. So they cover the organs. So the X-rays are very strong. But can you see it with your naked eyes? No. Like the beta or gamma rays, you cannot see them. But actually, they exist. And they are also rays or light from the brain, from the head, and from the hands. And the light of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are rounded, like an aura, like the aura of the head, of the whole body. They have lights, but you cannot see them. But you can experience, you can see them when you reach the third ground. And there's this sensation when you emit light, and you would know it. That's the third ground. And the fourth ground is not only you can see the lights, but you can also feel the power of the lights, and you can see the color of the lights and maybe the temperature of the lights. So don't think that the air has no lights. You know, when we were young, there was this prism, like with 3 glasses or 3 mirrors. So when you look at it, there are lots of light rays, the rainbow lights inside the prism. So when you look at the sunlight, you think there's only one light, but no. If you spray water or using a hose and spray it very high, and where there's sun rays, and then you would be able to see the multicolor lights, many color lights. And when there are many colors together, blended, they would become a white light. When one light is missing, then they would become black. It's very interesting. When you're painting, you would know. There is a color board. When you have all the colors and then rotate it, it would become white. But if you take away one color and rotate it, it would become black. The fourth ground is where you could see the light and the multicolor light, and you would also be able to experience the power of the light. Like when the hand is emitting light, there would be smokes and the color of the lights. And if you could see this, you have reached the 4th ground of Bodhisattvahood. So money can buy a house but cannot buy a home, can buy a marriage but cannot buy love, can buy a watch but cannot buy time. Money is not everything, but it is the root of suffering. Just give me your money then I will suffer the suffering of money. So all of our masters this day are like this. Give me all your money and I will shoulder your hardships for you. So all of our masters are not necessarily like that. Some really go all over the place to propagate Buddha Dharma, and then people would make offering to them. That's acceptable. And the 5th ground is this is rather difficult. In the process of eliminating your greed, anger, and desire, when you have no more afflictions whatsoever, and after you eradicate your karma and you cut off all your afflictions, so you can say that you have reached this 5th ground, because this is very difficult. So there are many masters who have gained enlightenment, and there are also many lay practitioners who have gained enlightenment. So once you're enlightened and you put them into practice and you cut off all your greed, anger, and delusion, and you can cut off completely your afflictions, because this is very difficult. But if you reach the fruition that you had cut off all your afflictions and eliminate the 3 poisons, then you have reached the 5th ground, which is a difficulty to achieve ground. And the 6th is the appearing ground. So not only your own light would be emitted, you would be able to see the lights of others, the lights of the animals, and the lights of any living beings. So you can see even the lights of the leaves. So it's like the ground of the appearance of all lights. And you would be able to see the lights of the plants, leaves, minerals, and all living beings. So that's the 6th ground of the Bodhisattvahood. And some of them have the same sensations. When you reach the 7th ground of Bodhisattva sensations, it's called the ground of going far away. So it's that all the grounds are very far from you and you're not contaminated by them. You're completely pure. So you will not be contaminated by the 3 poisons, like the greed, anger, delusion, and the afflictions. That's the 7th ground of being is your close to Buddhahood. So when you reach this ground, that your faith and your mind, your commitment will never change. So before this, even a bodhisattva sometimes can abandon their spiritual commitment. Even these Vajra masters can also abandon their spiritual cultivation. Grandmaster sometimes also said, "Oh, it's about time for retirement. That's it for me. It's so troublesome to be a monk. Cannot sing love songs anymore, cannot go dancing." But we cannot dance even. And sometimes seeing other people singing love songs in a duet. I have kissed you. And the monks cannot sing this kind of songs. That in the rain I kiss you. And they're singing in a duet. And they gaze at each other. And their lips as if kissing, and their bodies are close to each other, but the monks cannot do that. And the monks, can they swim? Are so restricted. Sometimes we see the movies and there are this scene that would be problematic. We are violating the precept. Let's look at that movie. And how could the actor do that? You just close your eyes, then you can see it. But when you have seen that, so that's why the monks cannot watch movies. Of course, the one who watched movies the most is Master Lien. Not recently. He has not been seeing the movies, but that means that in the past he did see a lot of movies. And recently, because he cultivates spiritually, he doesn't do that anymore. In the past, he often saw movies, watched movies. You know, the movies, the Western movies, sometimes is X-rated. Or PG-13. Yeah, PG-13. So these are movies with issues. You can only watch with G, or you can watch news, but no, not anymore these days. You know, the channels like on the satellites. You know, the girls are wearing very, very short skirt. And they show both their legs. So what would the monks do? They look up and they are wearing a low-cut blouse and very mini skirt. So where should we see? Where should we look? We look at the middle. But in the middle they show their belly button. So that's also something wrong. So sometimes you cannot even watch television. Sometimes I feel that maybe I should abandon my monkhood. That when I retire, I would just live as a laity. Because I have reached the ground of the immovable. That once you reach this, then that would be fine. So prior to this seventh ground, then you're not allowed. But if you reach this eighth ground, that you cannot be affected, you're unmoved, then anything is fine. So, but before this, no. So when you truly reach this eighth ground, that you can abandon your monkhood and live as a lay practitioner. So there is a master in Taiwan called Qinghai Wusangshi. She was a nun before, but now she is like a laity, like a queen, and was having makeup and everything, and she could get married. And whenever she's spreading Buddha Dharma, she's carried by 7 strong men. So when you have reached this ground, that you could get married. So if you're willing, I could marry you, because your mind is unmoved. Everything is good. So if someone thinks that everything is good, everything is fine, that means that person has reached this eighth ground. If there is still even a thread of greed, anger, and delusion, then they're way off from this ground. Because once you reach this eighth ground, you would never abandon it. You would never move. That in any state you're always in union with your yidam, and whatever he or she does is good. And the 9th ground is the good wisdom, the ground of good wisdom. That means that your merit is perfect, that everything you do is good, and you have provide salvation for all sentient beings, and you have your self-realization, and you also realize others. So you have let many also reach their realizations. That means your marriage is perfect. So the 9th ground of the good wisdom. And the 10th ground is the last ground of bodhisattvahood. It's called the ground of the Dharma clouds. That your merits are like the clouds in the sky. That the so-called merits are the same as snow merits. They are transforming back and forth. And your mind is unmoved. And your merits are like the clouds. They're transforming back and forth. And they are the same as snow merits. And at this time you have reached the ground of the Dharma clouds, the 10th ground of bodhisattvahood. So this 10th ground bodhisattvahood is the same, Mahayana and Tantrayana. But from 11th to the 16th ground are different. That's only belong to Tantrayana. That's the attainments in Tantrayana, 11th through 16th. A husband came home upset, and the wife was caringly asked him, "Is something wrong today?" And the husband said, "Oh, I found $200 on the public bus." "Oh, that's good that you found money, right? You should be happy." And then the husband said, "But there was another passenger who also saw it. So I have to split it. So I got 100 and he got another 100. He got 100. And the wife said, "Well, at least you've got $100, right?" But the husband said, but later on I just found out that $200 actually was mine. I dropped them. It's the same. But that up and downs are not like the clouds. They're like the ocean waves. In a moment you're very happy, another moment you're very down. And you're up and then you're down. You're happy and then you're sad in another moment. So you need to adjust to control your mood. So your mood would be like the clouds. They're changing all the time. But you know that they are illusory and transient. If you can comprehend that, you have reached the 10th ground. And the 11th ground, it's the omni-radiance. That's the same as the Buddhahood. So it's radiating all over, everywhere. That's the ground of all radiance. That's also a different sensation. Any place that he sees are pure. There isn't anything that's the so-called contaminant doesn't exist. And in the realm of the Buddha, there is no phenomena of man or woman, clean or dirty. They're all the same. They're all they see is radiance. So the 11th ground is Buddhahood. And the sensations there are different. How long have I spoken? Now I have to speed up. Someone studied English very diligently and had some success. And one day he bumped into a Westerner on the road and he said, "I'm sorry." And the Westerner said, because they bump into each other, so one said, "I'm sorry," the other one said, "I'm sorry too." And then this person and then so this person replied, "I'm sorry 3." Because his English is not that good. So the Caucasian couldn't understand. And said, so it's like the levels, the steps of Bodhisattva. But he did not advance, he digressed instead because his English was not very good. When someone said 2, he said 3. And the 12th ground is the golden lotus. So in this ground, they are all like the lotus blossoms, or the pure lotus, the ground of pure lotus. So you already have attainments, then you are a Buddha already in this ground. The ground of pure lotus. This only exists in Tantrayana. And the 13th ground is the Vairocana Buddha. The 5 Dhyani Buddhas belong to this 13th ground. So it's the accumulation of all lights. So every Buddha is the accumulation point of lights. Each of these have different sensation. And the 14th ground is the ground of great bliss. That everything is the same as self. So everything is equal. So at this time, it's the accumulation of light. That's the 13th ground. 13th ground. And the 14th ground is the ground of the wisdom of realization. That when you have accumulated all the wisdom, that's the 14th ground. And the 15th ground is the Vajradhara ground. So it's just suchness, thusness. And the 16th ground is the ultimate ground. It's the ground of Samantabhadra Tathagata or Adi Buddha, the primordial Buddha. The highest ground, the 16th ground. The intrinsic, the original wisdom. Whatever that's left is the original intrinsic wisdom, nothing else. That's the 16th ground. So I have explained all the 16 grounds. It's the same as talking about the sensations. When you practice talk, you started from the first ground all the way to the 16th ground, and you would have different sensations. So this is increasing your sensations or perceptions. So it's the same as the merit dedication today is to increase your fruition or attainments step by step from the first ground of bodhisattvahood all the way to the 16th ground of Buddhahood. So this is the same as increasing your sensations and then increasing your attainments. That your attainments keep going up. There's another joke. There's a co-worker who is allergic to lamb. When he eats lamb, his face would be swollen. So every time they go for lamb, they would bring him. Because when the more swollen his face is, then they know that the lamb is genuine. So there's also a fake lamb or a man-made lamb that looks and tastes like lamb, but actually it's not a real lamb. So when you eat this fake lamb, the face will not be swollen. So it's the same with your attainment of fruition. So when you eat a half fake, half real lamb, then you would have the swollen face halfway. So after his face is swollen, they would know which shop would sell the real lamb. That's the joke. There was an alcoholic that went for an interview at the wine shop, and he tried several wines, and he could tell the year and the alcohol, how much alcohol content in it. So the interviewers were surprised. So, and then the manager cringed at the female secretary. So she went to the bathroom and got a urine and had the alcoholic person drink that. He had his eyes closed. And then he said, this is a female, 23 years old, and she's pregnant for 2 months. And at this time, the interviewers were all dumbfounded. And then the the alcoholic thought he failed that interview. If you didn't give me the job, I would say who the father is. And then all the interviewers said, okay, you got the job. So this person was incredible. So if you're as smart as that, if your mastery is like that in your spiritual cultivation, then you would know which ground you have reached. You would be able to say, as long as you have mastered it, then you're not afraid for any test. And you would know which ground you have reached. So the attainment of the 16 ground was reached level by level, step by step, and sometimes you can jump 2 levels at a time. When you practice Tokka, then all of a sudden you would be able to see the lights of all people and plants and living beings. Then you have reached the 6th ground, the ground of appearance, that you would be able to see lots of lights of human beings, of plants, of minerals, your own light, and all lights. But you go level by level, step by step. So the alcoholic interviewee was really incredible. He knew when he drank the urine how old the woman was and pregnant for how many months. And even the father, he knew. So he had great mastery even with his eyes closed. So his wine tasting was number 1. He had reached a great mastery in that. That's all for today. Thank you very much.